Hey Jeff, okay. So I'm seeing that chaos order now. I wasn't really seeing it before, but I think when you added a couple of little design techniques and elements that I had mentioned in your last composition, I think it really, really rings through this chaos to order. It's working, definitely. This is a nice layout. I love the off-balanced type. I think that's really fantastic. And for somebody who is really, really heavy on alignment, this is okay right here. So very, very good job on the composition. Interrupted flow of negative space. I disagree. I do. I think the negative space here is gorgeous. I think you've created some wonderful interaction between the main design elements, or figure and ground, the background that they belong on. So that's fantastic. Let me get rid of that right there. That's a little distracting. Okay, so I had some technical issues with the gradients not showing up. I'm interested in that. I'm a little concerned. How did that happen? What's going on? Is it just the way you're using the gradient tool? You shouldn't really have to have a workaround. I mean, the gradient tool should work just fine. So let me know about that. I'm interested to see what kind of difficulties and what kind of issues that you had experienced while trying to apply gradients. Okay, let's jump to the composition. The cool color scheme is good, and I think this pop of warm right here through this yellow really creates some wonderful contrast. I think that works out very, very well. As far as typography goes, oh, by the way, the banner is much better. Good job with the banner now. It wasn't really working before, but now it definitely is. You can kind of see that dimensionality. And if you want to, go ahead and just jump over to Google and just Google search creating a banner, display banner for in Illustrator or in Photoshop. I'm not really sure where you're working, but go ahead and do that. There you should have a bunch of different ways to create these dimensional kind of flag banners. Or when in your search, say flag banner, don't say banner, because that will go to creating banners for websites. So how to create a flag/banner in using Illustrator or Photoshop. Okay. Design days right here. I think, we talked about contrast before. I think that the color of design days is a little light. I think I would jump right over here and grab a color that beautiful deep blue, not this really super dark blue in the dark end of the gradient, but right up here, and use that. That'll create some wonderful contrast. You can duplicate that color and use it down here. Now, I would not recommend, this script kind of black letter. It's not working here. It's a little difficult to read. I think just a sans serif. Plus, you've got two really competing typefaces going on here. Both, you've got this kind of script black letter, super flourishy kind of display face, and then you've got this same kind of decorative face here. So they're kind of clashing and fighting with each other. Coming soon, I would just go to a straight sans serif. Okay, this definitely works. One of the things I'm seeing is that the inconsistency in the stroke. You've got white strokes on the squares and the rectangles, and then no stroke on the sphere. And I'm not real sure that's working. Also, the sphere, you've got this black, kind of dark black green to gray. I would recommend using really deep dark blue or green to white in this radial gradient here, because there's a disconnect between the visual attributes of the sphere and those of the square and the triangle. So try to take colors out of the squares or the triangles to create the radial gradient in the spheres. Okay. Then, as I was saying, once you have that color, you can either do one of two things. You can add a white stroke to the spheres, or take the white stroke away from the squares and the triangles. Now, theoretically, you're probably not going to want to take the white stroke off, because then these are going to mix together and look like one large shape, and you're not going to see the defining drop shadow. So, in that case, you might have to add a white stroke to the spheres, which is going to take a little bit away from the dimensionality and definitely the depth, but it's going to add a good amount of consistency, tying this side of the piece along together with this piece. My last and final recommendation is to really lighten up that drop shadow. The drop shadow is effective, but it because it does create separation from that solid color background. However, it's just too prominent. It's so dark, it looks like another shape back there. And I think that could be problematic. So I would recommend really reducing the opacity of those drop shadows. Other than that, I think you're really looking fantastic. So those are my recommendations. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see those issues resolved for your final submission. But other than that, this is coming along really nicely. So fantastic work. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thanks, Jeff.